The tale of Lincoln de la Seine is one that drips with mystery, tragedy, and an eerie legacy that has spanned centuries. It begins in the shadowy streets of late 19th century Paris, where the Seine River, a silent witness to the city's secrets, revealed one of its own. The lifeless body of a young girl, no older than 16 or 17, was pulled from its depths. Her identity was a mystery, her story untold. The authorities, desperate to uncover who she was, placed her body on public display in a mortuary, a grim and macabre practice of the time. Yet, no one came forward. She was nameless, faceless to the world, and became known only as Lincoln de la Seine, the unknown woman of the Seine. Her face was unforgettable. Unlike the usual grimaces of the drowned, hers was serene, almost hauntingly peaceful. It was as if she had embraced her fate, finding solace in the depths of the river. A doctor tasked with performing her autopsy was captivated by her expression. Struck by the ethereal calm of her features, he created a plaster cast of her face, a death mask that would preserve her beauty for eternity. This mask was no ordinary artifact. It became an object of fascination, almost obsession, in the artistic and intellectual circles of Paris. Replicas were made and circulated, and her serene countenance soon adorned the walls of homes, studios, and galleries. In the dimly lit backstreets of Paris, during the years following her death, the plaster cast of Lincoln de la Seine began circulating through strange circles, both artistic and academic. But it was more than just a morbid curiosity. There were whispers in the night, murmured among Parisian intellectuals and occultists who saw something more than just a beautiful death mask. They sensed a power in the girl's face, a lingering presence of her spirit, trapped in the tranquil expression that had defied the violence of her death. For those who sought answers, the mask became a tool, a key that unlocked forbidden rituals and unseen forces. It was said that in the deepest chambers of Parisian cafes, where the air was thick with tobacco smoke and the flickering of candlelight, some would gather around the mask and gaze into her eyes. They believed that the mask had the ability to reveal hidden truths, to connect the living with the dead, to summon whispers from beyond the grave. But this was not a casual endeavor. The people who encountered the mask knew its power. They were drawn to it by a dark compulsion, as if guided by something beyond human comprehension. The mask itself seemed to beckon them with its mysterious serenity, daring them to uncover the secret of the girl's final moments. In these secret gatherings, rituals would unfold, rituals that sought to invoke the spirit of the girl, to communicate with her ghost, or perhaps to claim a piece of her eternal serenity. It was said that those who gazed too long into her face would begin to feel a strange pull, as if the room darkened and the air thickened, heavy with something unseen, something watching. A chilling feeling of being touched by death would fill the room, and in some cases, people claimed to hear whispers, soft, unintelligible voices speaking from the shadows. Were they the echoes of the girl's final thoughts, or were they the voices of those who had dabbled too deeply into the forces of death? As these occult practices continued, rumors spread that the spirit of the unknown woman of the Seine had not passed on, but was trapped in the mask, forever bound to it. Some whispered that she had never intended to drown herself, that she had been forced into the water, and that her final expression was one of betrayal, not peace. Others spoke of an unfinished business, a curse tied to her tragic end, and that those who dared to summon her would be forced to pay the price. This was the beginning of a darker legend, one that extended far beyond the walls of Parisian salons and occult circles. The curse that followed the face of Lincoln de la Seine was not one of immediate violence. It did not come in the form of spectral apparitions or physical retribution. No, it was far more insidious, more subtle curse that would slowly sink its claws into the psyche of those who came too close to the mask. Over time, a pattern began to emerge. Those who became too fascinated with the face would find themselves haunted psychologically by visions of drowning, by a growing obsession with the girl's tragic fate. There are accounts of people who, after spending too much time staring at the face, would find themselves experiencing nightmares so vivid that they could almost feel the cold touch of the Seine on their skin. Some would dream of being dragged underwater, their lungs filled with water, their vision clouded by dark, murky depths. And in those dreams, they would see the girl's face, staring at them with that same serene, haunting expression. "I could feel her breath," one account read. "It was cold, as though she were breathing life into me from beneath the water, pulling me down into her grave." Others reported hearing whispers, low, almost inaudible, voices that came in moments of quiet solitude. She is calling for you. Come to the water." These whispers were more than just figments of imagination. They were commands, urging those who heard them to come closer, to seek out the place where the girl had drowned. In some cases, people claimed that they felt an invisible pull, an overwhelming urge to visit the banks of the Seine, as though the girl's spirit was luring them to the very spot where she had died. And those who ventured there often reported feelings of coldness, of an oppressive weight on their chests, if the very waters of the river still held her in a grip, calling out for those willing to join her in her eternal slumber. The curse did not stop there. For those who came too close, who gazed too long, or who had too much contact with the mask, the price was eventually paid not in sudden death, but in slow, creeping madness. It was said that those who took part in the rituals of the mask, or those who became too obsessed with the face, would often find themselves unable to break free from the pull of the girl's tragic fate. Their thoughts would become consumed by her, as though the very essence of the girl's sorrow seeped into their souls. The true horror, however, is the strange ritual that has been passed down over the years, one that continues today, albeit unknowingly. Every time someone practices CPR on Seine, they are, in a way, participating in a twisted, involuntary ritual. Every kiss of life, a desperate breath passed from one person to another, brings the cycle full circle. The girl who died in the river is now forever linked to the act of life-saving, forever touched by the lips of those who try to bring someone back from the edge of death. In every kiss, there is a silent bargain made, a ritual that, for those unaware, has become part of the curse. But what if this is not just an innocent act of resuscitation? What if, with each kiss, those who press their lips to the face of Lincoln de la Seine are not just trying to save lives but feeding her spirit, giving it more strength, more power to reach out and claim those who are weak, who are vulnerable? Could they be offering their own breath, unknowingly? Could they be drawing themselves closer to the girl's eternal fate, pulled into the cold embrace of the water, the black depths of the Seine? And so, the girl's face remains, not just a symbol of salvation, but of tragedy, of unfinished business, of a curse that cannot be broken. Those who kiss her face are bound to her in ways they may never understand. With each resuscitation, they unknowingly participate in a ritual that keeps her spirit trapped between life and death. In this unholy cycle, the girl's fate is never truly over, and neither is the curse she left behind. One of the most chilling theories centers on the idea that Lincoln de la Seine's soul never passed on, that she was trapped between the realms of life and death. Her tragic death by drowning, coupled with the enigmatic serenity of her face, suggests that her spirit was never allowed to find rest. It's a well-known belief in the occult that untimely deaths, or deaths filled with great emotional trauma like the despair of suicide or drowning, often result in spirits becoming lost. They linger, unable to make the transition to the afterlife, bound to the place where they died, or in this case, bound to the death mask that represents their final moments. When the doctor created the plaster death mask, it could have unintentionally captured her spirit. Death masks have long been thought of as not just physical representations of the dead, but as portals, gates through which the living can communicate with the dead, or in some cases, trap the souls of the departed. Could it be that, by making her face immortal, the doctor unwittingly imprisoned her spirit in the mask? This would explain the haunting sensation that many report when gazing upon the face. Her serene expression could mask a far deeper suffering, one that becomes more pronounced with every passing year, every person who kisses the mannequin's lips. Her trapped soul could be reaching out, trying to find release, calling to the living for help, or perhaps, dragging them into her fate. The curse may be nothing more than a prison of the soul, forever bound to the mask and the mannequin that bears her likeness. Another theory that haunts the story of Lincoln de la Seine suggests that her face is a manifestation of collective guilt, the guilt of a world that failed her. Her death was not just tragic, but silent. No one came forward to claim her, no one sought justice, and no one seemed to care. Her name was erased, her identity forgotten, as though she never mattered. Her face, the only thing left behind, became the symbol of erased lives, those lost to despair and never mourned. Could the curse be the product of society's collective disregard for this lost girl? Could the endless use of her face in CPR training and the countless kisses on her lifeless lips be the world's way of paying penance, a subconscious acknowledgement of its failure to recognize the humanity of the girl whose soul was never allowed peace? Some believe that there is a spiritual dimension to this connection, that by engaging with the face of Lincoln, the living are giving part of their energy to her, drawing her spirit closer. The repeated cycle of life and death through CPR becomes a draining process, pulling on the energy of the living, feeding the ghostly presence of the drowned girl. With each kiss, her spirit grows stronger, and the boundary between the world of the living and the world of the dead grows thinner. Some have even gone so far as to suggest that this cycle is a trap, a deliberate design by forces beyond human comprehension, meant to keep the living forever connected to the girl's tragic fate. The most disturbing theory is that, as time goes on, the curse will continue to spread, infecting more and more people who encounter the Rasusian mannequin. The boundary between the living and the dead will continue to weaken, and the girl's face will become more and more powerful, drawing those who practice CPR into her web. Over time, no one will be able to escape her pull, and in a final, chilling moment, the curse will claim its ultimate victim, the world itself. The most sinister possibility of all is that, eventually, the face of Lincoln de la Seine will not just be the most kissed face in the world, it will become the face of the end of the world, as the spirits of the drowned and forgotten souls begin to gather, rising from the depths of the Seine to claim the living, one kiss at a time. And in that final moment, when the world is consumed by the drowned girl's curse, she will finally get her revenge, not just for her tragic death, but for all those who have been lost to the shadows of history, forever forgotten and never truly given the peace they deserve. My name is Penny Flick, with Kreep-ish. I'll be back with more stories that challenge our perceptions, question reality, and keep us peering into the darkness of history. Comment below on your thoughts. What stories intrigue you the most? Dreams? What mysteries do you want to uncover? Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, the truth is often stranger than fiction.